answer them out loud. So this session is being recorded so that we're able to share it with others in the future, just to let you know. And I'm going to turn things over to our amazing counseling team.
Hey, class of 22. I just wanted to say a quick greeting and welcome. I got the opportunity to welcome you guys into South just about 2.5 years ago. And I think at that time I told you it was going to go fast. And even with COVID shutdown, it has gone fast. And here we are to this great point for you guys. So just want to say how proud we are of you to work as hard as you have over the last 2.5 years, and especially during the shutdown. And I'm going to turn it over to the team so that they can tell you about next steps as you work towards graduation.
Thank you, Shirley. So hi, everyone. I'm Julie McGlinskey. I'm one of the counselors who works with students whose last names start with A through F. And I just want to start by saying thank you for taking time in your busy lives to join us this morning. Everything we're going to present today, including the webinar that we're doing right now, will be available to you and your families on the South Eugene website on the Class of 2022 web page. Yes, you have your very own web page. If you haven't visited it yet, it will be something where you can tap into and get lots of resource and information. If you have questions as we're presenting today, please just type them in the question and answer, and then we can do our best to address them at the end of the presentation. So as we're getting started this morning, I want to just take a moment for you to imagine that it's next year at this time. You have less than 30 days of high school left in your high school career. You'll be on the verge of stepping into your adult life. So for some of you, that might mean getting a job. Some of you, that might mean travel. Some of you will be preparing to go to college. You'll be living with adventure right around the corner, and you've worked hard to be in this spot. So today our plan is to be talking about steps for you to take so that next year at this time, you feel fully prepared to launch into your adult life and the excitement that's about to come. But I want to just take a moment to acknowledge everything that you've accomplished so far. In my mind, you're all superheroes. Who imagined, like right before spring break last year, the week before spring break, the horrific journey we had ahead of us. And you all have risen to that challenge with integrity and grit and grace and kindness. You've been there for each other. You've been gracious to your teachers and your counselors and the school as we've fumbled through the process of switching to doing everything remotely. And in those moments when I think all of us, you included, have felt completely sick of COVID, somehow you have still found ways to move forward and stay engaged. And here we are now. And so I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge how proud I am of all of you and how I just feel like this is such an amazing community, the South Eugene community, largely because you're such great people. And I am ecstatic right now to have some of you back in the building, and even more excited in some ways right now, as silly as it is, that we can be here today talking about sort of normal considerations that juniors have as they move into their senior year and prepare for life after graduation. So thank you all for everything that you've provided to that. So our plan today is to be sure you all have clear information about junior activities that we advise you to complete before the end of the school year. We also want you to be alerted to resources that you might find useful this summer when you have time without all the pressure of classes to do a little research on your plans for after graduation and get information that might help you fine-tune your plans and get some specific steps, action steps for what you'll do next. And finally, we want to give you a chance to have a little sneak preview of what to expect at the start of your senior year, so that as you move into senior year, you're prepared to take those steps and have an idea of what's coming. When senior year starts in September, there's a lot that happens right away. So we want to make sure you're informed and ready. So in early December, all of you were invited to a Canvas class called Junior Project. My hope is that a majority of you have completed this project by now, or at least taken a deep dive into it. And here's why I hope that. The Junior Project is full of resources that will help you take your general ideas about what you want to do after you graduate and make them specific actionable steps. For example, if you are thinking that you are interested in college, through the resources in your Junior Project, you'll be able to identify characteristics of schools and match those to your personal needs and passions. You will be able to get a list of colleges, and from that list, get a sense of what the admission standards are and whether it's likely that you are a candidate that would be admitted, or whether it's kind of a stretch goal for you. And additionally, it will give you tools to look at the costs of different colleges, so you can determine if something you're considering is affordable or not. So generally, when students start high school, they may think, hey, I want to go to a good college. But by the time you hit junior year, the question is not, is it a good college, but is it a good college for you? And Junior Project is a tool that will help you make that determination. If you're interested in working or taking a gap year, the Junior Project has resources for you as well. For example, it will help you update your resume so that you can be using that to line up a job after you graduate, or that you can you can use it to organize data for portfolio or information that might help you connect with an internship or some other kind of an experience. So bottom line, it helps you understand and it also connects you with your Naviance account. Naviance is going to be an essential tool for organizing your next steps and compiling information about application deadlines and what you've submitted and what you need to submit. So for those reasons and more, if you haven't done your Junior Project, do it. It will be really helpful for you. And it will be available all through summer. So even if you haven't had a chance to finish it by the end of the school year, you can access these resources. Another really critical step for junior year is for each of you to have a junior interview. This is a chance for you to meet one-on-one with your school counselor. The intent of the junior interview is for us to get to know each other better, first and foremost, because we, especially with being out of school this last year, we just have not had the chance to meet you like we normally would like to. In the course of your junior interview, your counselor will talk to you more specifically about your individual plans or what you're considering for after high school. And then no matter where you are with that planning process, we can start there and work back in time to now to fill in those gaps so that you feel clear about resources that are available to you, the next steps that will help you put your plan together, and how we can work together to support you with developing that plan. Another thing that happens in your junior interview is when we have a sense of what you'd like to do after you graduate, we'll take a look at your courses. We'll make sure you have the credits that you need to graduate. And if you don't, or you're credit deficient, we can talk about summer school or how you might pick up extra credits to get you where you would like to be. And then we can also check your course request for your senior year. So let's say, for example, we realize it would help you to have a fine art credit for the colleges you're thinking about now. But we can go back and update your forecasting for next year if we need to. So all of those things that will happen in your junior interview. And so it's a really important chance for us to get to know each other and just kind of shepherd and work together as we move toward your next steps. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but you all, simply by clicking, going to the South Eugene website, can schedule your junior interview really easily through our online scheduler, which you can access online at the South Eugene website. So one of our goals has been to try to make the resources that you need really readily available so that when you have time, whether it's like 1 in.the.morning or Saturday or during the school day, you can access information that you need to inform your choices for the next steps of high school and beyond. So we just talked a little bit about your Naviance account, but I want to talk a little bit more about that. in your Naviance account, it's a web-based account, so you can access it anywhere, anytime. And it becomes a really critical tool that we use to communicate with you about opportunities that will happen senior year. So one of the things you can do between now and the start of your senior year is go into your Naviance account and make sure that the phone number and email that you have listed is one that you're actually using and that you check. When we find out about opportunities like college visits or career visits that are happening on campus, we use Naviance as a tool to communicate with you about those opportunities. And if your contact information in there is not right, you won't get that information. So please check that. Secondly, Naviance it's an excellent organizational tool, especially if you're a student that's planning on applying to a four-year college. So our thought is that many of you from this time forward will be in the process of selecting which schools you actually want to apply to. And what we would ask you to do is, as you go through that process, log into your Naviance account and list the schools that you're going to apply to in the colleges I'm applying to section of your Naviance account. This is an amazing tool because it will, once you've entered your colleges there, it will help you identify what materials you need to submit to apply to those specific colleges. It will give you information about deadlines that will help you organize your time. And then eventually it will help us track the materials we've sent on your behalf to colleges for your applications. So if you use a little bit of your time over the summer when you're not as busy as you are during classes to update your Naviance account with this important information, it will help streamline the process of your senior year. And what you will find is on the Class of 2022 webpage, we will have webinar YouTube videos to help you know how to do those different steps if you're working on that over the summer and need to refer to how you do that. Another amazing resource for all of you is the College and Career Center website. If you go to the website, it's under Academics College Career Center. You'll have a menu of really important resources. So for example, if you're a person who's planning to apply to a four-year college, there's a college planning to-do list. How helpful is that? So you can just open that up and use it as a checklist. If you feel like you kind of know the steps, but you want to make sure you've done everything, go to the College and Career Center website. Additionally, I kind of hinted at this before, but many of you will be in the process of narrowing which schools you want to apply to when you graduate, after graduation. And when you start your senior year, you might have a big list that you're trying to narrow down a little bit because you want it to be more reasonable size. One of the tools that many students use to do that is they attend presentations and college fairs in the first trimester of their senior year. Well, on the College and Career Center website, you will find the schedule of college fairs and presentations. So that's a really great resource for you as well. For example, we may have representatives from Reed College or other schools around Oregon or the whole United States that come and either present virtually or in person. And you, if that school is listed in your Naviance account, we'll notify you that it's happening. But if you just want to monitor those, or as a parent want to monitor what's happening, you can check the College and Career Center website. Additionally, some of the college fairs are a chance for a student who has a particular interest to go and just get a lot of information from many colleges at one event. For example, there are college and career fairs specifically for students in performing arts, or specifically for students that are interested in attending historically Black colleges and universities. So there are niche fairs that you might find really helpful as you fine-tune your selection of colleges for your senior year. Additionally, for students that may be a little bit less interested in college, but not quite sure what that means, like, what do you do then? Well, there are links on the College and Career website about gap years. So you might love something like AmeriCorps, where it sets you up with sort of a program and a system that allows you to travel and do service in the United States and earn a little stipend for college, but not go directly to work. You might also be interested in learning more about different career paths, such as listening to an industry panel on manufacturing. We have a lot of big manufacturing companies in the Eugene Springfield area, and maybe you want to just get out of high school and get a job with one of them that pays really well. So there are links to resources for those post-high school plans as well on the College and Career website. And finally, I keep hinting at this, but the Class of 2022 page, here you will find the webinar that we're doing now will be presented here. But additionally, there's this fabulous resource that allows you to get information about any of the things that I'm talking about right now without having to listen to the whole webinar. You can just go directly to the thing that interests you, click on it, and then just get that information anytime you want it. So keep in mind that resource, the Class of 2022 website. And so, here we are getting to the end of your junior year. And so there are some common questions that we hear a lot and resources we want to make sure you're aware of as you head into summer. So many of you are thinking about whether or not you should take an SAT or ACT, or what do you do because you haven't been able to take an SAT or ACT. So I want to let you know first and foremost that 4J and South, we are not planning to offer an SAT or ACT this school year. We just are not in a position where we feel we can safely connect students with in a big testing setting like that due to the risks of COVID. We may offer one in the fall of your senior year, and you would be able to take a test and still have your scores in time for college applications if you took a test in September. There are some places that are offering SATs and ACTs, but students generally have to research to find out where they are and travel. And so because of that, it's not an opportunity that's available to very many students in the Class of 2022. And because of that, many colleges and universities are not requiring SAT or ACT test scores for admission or applications. They're doing what they're calling being test blind or being test optional. And so that means you really don't need to have an SAT or ACT to be able to apply to a four-year college if you're in the Class of 2022. And I want to make sure you also know that all of the Oregon universities, University of Oregon, Oregon State, Portland State, the ones that lots of our students go to, they have all agreed not to require SATs or ACTs for your graduating class. So I hope that takes a little pressure off. If you're wanting to get information about a specific school, you can always check their website to see what their status is. And there's a link here to the current list of colleges and universities that are opting out of testing. So you can look schools up that way, and that's constantly being updated. So I want to make sure you're aware of that resource. Aside from testing, some of you might want to just do something fun this summer, like an enriching activity, like you might want to take a class or get involved in summer programs. So we want to make sure you're aware that Lane Community College is offering juniors the opportunity to take a class for no tuition cost. If you're a student at South who's had a hard time scheduling, say, a fine art course and wants that for the purpose of four-year college admission, you might take it at LCC this summer. So students are, you just apply through their website. You have to apply by June 21st. But it's an awesome opportunity to get an experience with the college class and the full range of courses that LCC offers. Additionally, there are opportunities for students who are interested in careers. Connected Lane County is an awesome organization that has internships and industry tours available to students specifically designed for high school students. So if you're interested in any of these kinds of opportunities, maybe a paid internship, I recommend that you check out the Connected Lane County website to see if there's something there that's a good match for you. Additionally, the U of O SAIL program is offering a summer enrichment activities for students that want some kind of an academic experience, but then also they're offering opportunities for where professors are talking specifically about research and careers within their area of study. So if you're a person who's just not totally sure about a career path and wanting just more information and more exposure to different types of opportunities, Connected Lane County and SAIL through U of Oregon are two great opportunities for you this summer to check out. And then finally, what I wanted to mention to you all is that if you're a student at South who has exhausted all of the academic offerings in one of our academic areas, for example, you're a junior who's completed calculus and you love math and you want to keep studying it, but there's not a course that we offer that is sort of the next level up, then you're a perfect candidate for DuckLink. And the way DuckLink works is the University of Oregon allows students who want to continue studying something that they have exhausted in their high school, they can take a class in that area at the University of Oregon. The process for doing that is that you go to the University of Oregon's website and you complete the DuckLink application. And then you submit that application to Leanne Hollenbeck, our counseling secretary. So Leanne will then, you can get information about DuckLink on the website. You complete the application and give it to Leanne, and then Leanne will give that information to the University of Oregon. So at the start of your senior year, you'll get information from the University of Oregon that will enable you to enroll in classes in that specific subject area through DuckLink. So we want to make sure you all know about that opportunity because those applications must be given to Leanne before school gets out. So everything that I've talked about right now, you can access it again at the South Eugene website, class of 2022. So you don't have to have it all memorized. But we just want to make sure you're aware of it. Because these are some pretty exciting opportunities and you're in a pretty exciting time of your life. And now I want to pass the mic over to Michael to share some more information.
Thanks, Julie. Hey everybody, I'm Michael Leahy and I work with students with the last names G through N. And during your senior year, you will encounter some fees for college applications and for standardized tests. And if any of these fees become a barrier to you or your family or hardship, we want to help support you. This is if we're having a conversation during our junior interview or beginning of next year during the senior interview, that's a really totally perfect time to have that conversation. And I know that talking about money can bring up a lot of feelings and can be kind of a vulnerable conversation. But the bottom line is that we know that some of the applications have costs associated with them, and also being able to take an AP test or a standardized test. We want to help support you through that. So just know that you have a partner in that. The other thing that we know is that over the last year, the finances of many families have changed and have been greatly impacted by the pandemic. So maybe in years past, your family is not qualified for free or reduced lunch, but maybe things have changed and you think you would qualify. So I'd encourage you to have your parent submit the paperwork either through the 4J Nutrition website, or we have the forms here on campus, and we can help you navigate that. Even if you don't ever plan on eating on campus or having breakfast or lunch, but you might qualify for fee waivers during senior year, and that's an important time to receive some financial supports. We can move to the next slide. FAFSA. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and you're going to hear us talk a lot about FAFSA throughout your senior year. Some students will say, "Can I fill that out now? I want to get a jump start on it." It's not available until October 1st. And you might ask, why would I fill out the FAFSA? Well, the FAFSA can help students qualify for grants, scholarships, or loans from the schools that you're applying to. Like I mentioned, it opens on October 1st, and it'll be based on your family's 2020 tax information. We're going to host a Beyond South Financial Aid Night in late September or the first week of October, where we'll invite a U of O financial aid officer who will, and we'll invite students and families to attend, and so you'll hear more about that process, about how to fill out the FAFSA and the different scholarship opportunities that could be connected to the FAFSA. We will also host FAFSA completion nights for students and families. So if you're needing some help, some more individualized help for your families, figuring out your family's tax situation and how it relates to filling out the FAFSA, know that we'll have those set up throughout the fall as well. The FAFSA, the FAFSA is a good safeguard. Even if you're not sure filling out the FAFSA is a good safeguard to take early in your senior year, even if you're not sure what your post-high school plan may be. And we're going to talk a little about the Oregon Promise here next, I think, maybe momentarily. You can go to the next slide, Julie. Oregon Promise, right there, boom. So even if you're a student who might be considering starting your college career at an Oregon community college, maybe you're looking at Lynn Benton or Chemeketa or Portland Community College, you could qualify for the Oregon Promise, which is a pretty sweet deal. If a student needs to have a cumulative GPA of a 2.5 or higher throughout your high school career, you need to start your college career at that community college within 6 months of graduating. So essentially you're starting in the fall after graduating in June. And you need to fill out the FAFSA. So filling out the FAFSA is the first step to completing that Oregon Promise. And then you're also going to fill out the Oregon Promise Grant. So, so filling out the FAFSA is a good, it's free, just like it is in the title of the form. It's a free application, so there's no harm in filling that out as you get into your post-high school planning. Personalized learning. Since we've been conducting a lot of junior interviews over the last couple of months, this is a popular question because on the transcript there's a personalized learning requirement that's under the credit summary on the transcript. And it says not taken or not completed. The state of Oregon requires that high school students every year are working on projects that help them look beyond their academics, thinking about their life after high school, exploring different options and different paths. So if you think back to maybe in your 9th grade year, maybe you had a 9th grade interview with Shirley or Christy Gonin, or maybe you went into the College and Career Center and you worked on your freshman project. Last year, obviously, as sophomores, the sophomore project was available online, but we know that students didn't have that ability to have that connection and go into the College and Career Center like they might have if we were in the building. This year, as juniors, the big hurdle is completing the junior project. And I'm really, in talking to a lot of juniors, I'm really impressed that many of you are taking that on in your own time, and I during the junior interviews, I'd love to hear about the findings or just that it's validating or whatever you feel like you're getting out of that experience, because it is pretty intense, and we do demand for you to spend some time, a substantial amount of time doing research and looking into different pathways for yourself. So kind of going through the year, the projects, and right now, we're in full swing of students completing their junior projects that are all housed in your Canvas, and then also sitting down with your counselor and to have a junior interview. And I can tell you, I'm so energized by the junior interviews, hearing your stories, hearing about your resilience, hearing about how you're doing some amazing, just wonderful, inspiring activities, that go far beyond what's on a transcript or what's in your Canvas. I met with a student yesterday who has really found this creative outlet in ceramics, and they're working on creating bowls and different cups and just different forms of artistic expression at home. And that's what, creating that balance, finding those outlets. And those are the things we love to hear about. And those are things that we also want to talk about when you're applying to college, or you're applying for scholarships, or applying for jobs. When we're asked to write a letter of recommendation, that's the good stuff. Those are the things that we really want to be able to capture and highlight about your lives. So as we look to senior year, because it'll be here, Julie, you said less than 30 days, I think, right? 30 days of, oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. So that helps put it in perspective for me as well. So senior year, you might remember back to sophomore year when we offered the PSAT for 10th graders on that College and Career Readiness Day. Well, our hope is to offer that again next October. And there will be a series of different workshops geared for seniors. So there might be a workshop on how to write a really great personal statement, or there might be a workshop on filling out the FAFSA, or talking about scholarships, or so there's going to be a series of different workshops that are going to be they'll have a senior year focus, and so those will be available to you to attend. And then kind of touching back on that senior interview, we love to have that conversation as early as possible in the year, depending on what your needs are. If you're a student who you might be considering applying early to some schools, there's the early action or the early decision, the different deadlines. If you have a November 1 type of deadline, then we'd want you to schedule that senior interview as soon as we can, so we're all on the same page and we can help you through that process. And as Julie mentioned, we lean on Naviance quite heavily during senior year. There's some surveys that are built into Naviance to help with the letter of recommendation process for both counselors and teachers. And then we'll also have some Naviance surveys that we'll ask just for feedback as well at the end of your senior year. So you will be, especially for those who are applying to four-year college, you will become quite familiar with your Naviance account. So CTE program, so Career Technical Education Program. Many of you have completed CTE courses at South, and maybe you weren't aware of it at the time. If you've taken International Foods with Chef Duncan, or any of the computer science courses with Sarah Maggio, or any of the engineering courses, or art, or child development, or journalism, you've been introduced to career technical education here at South. CTE prepares students for high skill, high wage, high demand jobs where you can be creative, innovative, and self-directed after high school. South's programs focus on student collaboration, real world relevance, and leadership development opportunities. CTE sets students up for success in all levels of post-school learning. Our courses are built into subject area pathways within the CTE program of study. Students begin with an intro level training course. Think about like International Foods building into the culinary or catering program. If students are looking to earn a career technical education pathway, you're needing to take at least 1.5 credits prior to your senior year, and then sign up for those advanced level courses in your senior year. This is as we've done forecasting that took place a couple months ago, but we can always connect with students if they're thinking about revamping their senior year. We know that many seniors have a lot of space, availability built into their schedule for the most part. So if you're really wanting to dive deeper into some of these areas, for example, like the Intro to Education program with Mindy Rimby, or some of those advanced computer courses, the engineering program that we talked about, and we know that the art courses are quite popular, especially when it comes to meeting some of the University of California college admissions requirements. So have that conversation with us maybe during your junior interview, or by email if you're wanting to commit your senior year into working on a CTE pathway.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, that's nice. So for students, the big picture, if Michael kind of brought you in like a close up, but if we step back a minute, the idea is that before you graduate, you have the opportunity to explore um, potential life paths before, so that you feel informed of those options by the time you graduate. So for some of you, that will be through completing a CTE, because it will give you a sneak preview of what it would be like to have a focus in one of those career areas. For those of you who our CTE programs don't necessarily fit your interests, you're the people that would love to do a senior experience, because what that allows you to do is, instead of focusing on coursework that is offered at South, you select 10 hours of activities that are relevant to your interests. And those are the things that we've already been talking about, maybe doing a college visit or a job shadow, or doing an internship through Connected Lane County, or attending some college fairs or virtual college visits. Um, we want to assure you that your health is our #1 priority. So we don't want you to feel like you have to go out and do things that put you at risk in the community, given the status of COVID. But there are lots of opportunities that are still available to you in a virtual or online way. And we've talked about a lot of those today, but we just want you to know that those are kind of the paths that students can choose at South, to do a senior experience where they design their own individualized way of researching post-high school plans, or really delve into a CTE program for that purpose. Whew. So just to kind of recap, Michael kind of hit some of this already, but senior year comes fast. And when using the summer to set yourself up so that you're in good standing at the start of your senior year will really reduce your anxiety and just help you feel more confident and ready to focus on being in school and having the opportunities that you have while classes are going. So Michael mentioned that a lot of times, if you've selected colleges and you know the application they require, you can start working on that even in August, before classes start at South, just as a sneak preview. And school will start in September, but October will come really quickly when you can start to work on your FAFSA, and we'll have those financial aid nights that Michael mentioned. So it will be really important for you to pay attention to the weekly newsletter from South, so that you know about some of these events that are coming up, because they may happen before you have your senior interview. But we do request that all students schedule a senior interview, just like you're scheduling your junior interview, but do that with us sometime first trimester, and stay in touch with the website, because that's going to give you a lot of great information about all of the things that you might be thinking about as you transition from being juniors to being seniors. Another resource we have that we'll give to you either in your junior interview or you can access from the website is just a calendar that sort of takes you from now, spring of your junior year, into the first start of your senior year, so that you have, again, just sort of a timeline of the different things that are happening and the different deadlines that you might want to make sure you hit. So we hope that you leave this webinar today with a better sense of some helpful steps to complete before the end of this year, and feel more aware of resources and opportunities that you have over the summer, if you care to access those or have time to access those. And then we also hope that you have a better sense of kind of the first start of your senior year, so you feel more comfortable stepping into that in September. But most importantly, I want you to know that we're all really, really proud of you for persevering and being here with us now. And we are super excited about opportunities to get to know you better through your junior interviews, and work more closely with you as we navigate your post-high school planning. And we're really delighted and look forward to the opportunities to work closely with you, and to just see the different gifts and influences that you bring to the South Campus as seniors, the people that have probably the most influence in the entire school. So thank you for joining us. I know we gave you a lot of information right now. Please remember that this webinar, as well as other resources, will be available to you at the South website under the student class pages under class of 2022. It's a little convoluted, but you can find it there. And what we want to do now is just address any of the questions that you may have.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. This,
You're welcome.
this is Chantel. I have students O through Z. And you mentioned the website, which is great because some of the students in the Q&A were wondering where to find certain things. For example, the U of O Duck link information is on the website. It's under the curriculum guide kind of section. Kind of have to scan through and you'll see links to things. There's also a lot of information about SAT and ACT. There's a lot of questions about, should I take it? Is my college test optional? Where can I take it? And all of that. There are links to websites that talk about that because we won't know if you need it. We don't know if you need it for your college. We don't know if you need it for one of your scholarships, because that's someone asked that. I do know there are scholarships that do require it. So you'll want to do your research on that. Okay. So those are big ones people are wondering about.
Mhm.
And also around the SAT and the ACT, and there's not a local test scheduled as of right now. So, and that's been true for over a year now. So students in the Eugene area have not had the immediate access to taking a test. If things change in the fall, typically an SAT or an ACT is offered every month in the fall. So if that opportunity, if you feel like you're shut out of that opportunity locally this spring, but things change and open up and they're available in the fall, then that might be something you look at. But again, the vast majority of schools that we're hearing from are saying they're going to be test optional. So it's important to really read the fine print of the admissions requirements of the schools you're interested in. But every day, more and more schools are saying test optional.
And what I would add to that is that for students who have a really strong academic record or have the opportunity to write a little bit about themselves in their application, what colleges are saying is that they're going to use those data points more and not the test, not test scores. Because even if some students are able to take a test, it's not an equitable distribution of their applicant pool. And so it's not as valuable a data point as it would have been if everyone had the opportunity to test.
Yeah, that's a good point. So a couple other questions people are wondering, what's a fee deferral? I think Michael might have mentioned this. And this is when colleges require a fee to apply, but if you defer that, you can pay it when you get admitted and you get your first financial aid payment. Okay. Couple others talking about junior interviews. Someone wondered, is it in person or through Zoom? And that's really a discussion or a decision you and your counselor can make. If it makes sense to be in person, we can do some of those, or we can do those. So that's just a need base or discussion with your counselor. Is it required for graduation, junior interview? It is a part of the personalized learning activities that we have. If you're unable to do it, we can do it in different ways, but we encourage you highly to schedule one. And then how do we schedule the junior interview? That's going to be a link on our website to the scheduling app for the system. And then just a couple more letters of recommendation. So yes, if you are a student that needs letters of recommendations, one or more for your college, some teachers do like to be asked this spring. So you might just ask this teacher, would you like to know if I want a letter of recommendation? If they say yes, you're going to need to decide if they're going to be one of your recommenders. But they might say, tell me in the fall, and then you have time to decide if you want to ask them. And we do ask that you just ask 2 teachers to write your letters of rec. Okay, we can't have lots of teachers doing multiple ones. All right.
I can add a
okay.
little to that too, if it's okay.
Yeah.
most colleges will want you to have a teacher that you've had in an academic area, and they'll want it to be a teacher you had your junior or senior year. So in that way too, if you're asking teachers this year, I wouldn't ask, you might wait and only ask one of the two, because you might want it to be a senior year teacher as well. And then the other thing I would add to that is think about picking teachers that are going to say different things about you, because you have this limited opportunity of giving colleges information about you. So you don't want your teachers to say the exact same thing, to see your same strengths. Like two math teachers, for example, might both say, hey, you're excellent at calculating. And you want colleges to know a little bit more about you. So you can be a little bit intentional about the process for asking teachers. And the Naviance account has a survey that will help you give information to teachers if they want that, to help them write their recommendation, which we can show you in your junior interview.
Yeah. Couple others, and then we might move on. So wonderings about CTE program and what courses, that's going to be in the curriculum guide. We have a website that's devoted to forecasting and scheduling. And then there's also a link to that on our class of 2022 website. All right. And they're coming in, the questions. There's some questions about financing college. That's going to be a case-by-case situation. So when we talk about that separately.
I will say that students you'll complete the FAFSA every year in college. So you're not just completing it during the fall of your senior year. You'll complete that as you move into college as well. So that could impact or make you eligible for future scholarships or grants or loans.
Just timeline wise, you can find this information on the planner, on the calendars that we talked about. But timeline wise, what students generally do is they pick schools that interest them, and they have a range. Some that might be out of their, they're not sure they can afford, and maybe a public university that will be your best price option. And then you apply in the fall, but generally you don't hear back about financial aid and scholarships until the spring of your senior year. So the process takes the full of senior year to unfold. And the very first step for you is just going to be picking which colleges you want to apply to. So that's the first step. And then worrying about the financing and scholarships will happen a little bit later in your senior year.
Yeah, that's a good point. So one other question, do I need to do a CTE project or senior experience? And the answer is yes, one of those if you're not in IHS. And we will definitely be giving you out more information about the details of that beginning of next year more, because we're still waiting on guidance as well.
And just to add to that, Chantel, IHS students, you get that same sort of thinking about life after high school through doing your junior seminar and then your CAS hours. That gets you some experiential knowledge about yourself and chances to learn off campus. And then of course your extended essay also gives you a chance to research a potential area of interest. So you all will do something.
There was a question about students who might be interested in playing sports in college. We would want to encourage you to have a conversation with Kathy Ruggles, who is our NCAA coordinator here at South. So if you haven't met Kathy, she also coordinates the work study as well. So sending an email to Kathy Ruggles and maybe CCing your counselor would be a good first step. There was another question around incompletes. Over the last multiple trimesters, there's been some academic challenges for many students, and going back to the third trimester of your 10th grade year when we were on pass or incomplete grades, and maybe some of you still have incompletes from that time, and how to go about remedying that. That's something that we would talk about during your junior interview and kind of come up with a game plan, because each class might be a little unique in how you go about making up that incomplete. But bottom line is get to know your transcript, understand it, see where you're at in those different credit areas. and make sure that it's accurate, that it's true, that it reflects your academic record. But those are the conversations that we want to be having with you, so we can have a plan in place as we approach the fall.
Michael, I just could add, I just pulled up on screen the place on on your class of 2022 website where you can see there's specific information about how to check your credits, how do you compare that to four-year college admission, and then links to the scheduling forecasting page to help you compare that to opportunities at school. And just so you all know, we will be getting information about summer school. We have not gotten that yet, but that will happen probably late May. And so if you're a student who is worried about having the credits that you need to graduate or making up for a class that you didn't get a good grade in, we can totally help you do that. Just reach out to us in late May. Are there other questions?
It looks like there was a question. Can I take multiple Duck Link classes like math and world language?
Yeah, so the way DuckLink works is it's specific. You are eligible to take classes only after you've exhausted the courses that we offer at South. And yes, some students do manage to do that in more than one area. For example, if you've taken AP Spanish and calculus this year, you could be eligible for DuckLink in world language and math next year. But you have to meet that criteria to be eligible. Otherwise, you just would pay the normal cost to take a U of O class, which anybody can do. DuckLink just gives you a break on tuition. Well, we've kept you for almost an hour. That's a long time. So I don't know if there are any last questions.
But I was gonna say, if there are, we do live chat every week. And it's really great. It's just like this, actually. You can type questions and we'll write you back. So that's a great opportunity. Or of course, emailing your counselor.
Mhm.
Good too.
And that's every week,
Oh, yes.
Tuesdays
on-
and Thursday afternoons.
Yes.
And you can access it through the counseling department website or from your website. Yeah. Well, so again, thank you everybody so much for joining us and taking time out of your busy days on your Wednesday afternoon to let us give you some information that we hope is helpful to you. And we're looking forward to chances to talk in person and Zoom if we need to, or talk on the phone and just get to know each other better and work together more as we wrap up this year and move into your final year of high school. Thank you, everybody.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.